Senator Miriam Santiago passed away this morning. She died peacefully in her sleep at her residence in La Vista. She was a shining light in Philippine political annals for her sharp legal mind, uncompromising stand, and acid humor. She had a profound influence on millennials and the youth, constantly challenging preconceived notions, both political and social. Her passing also signals the passing of an era of politicians with wide-ranging intelligence and the courage to express their true convictions. We condole with family and friends. Other details will be announced later. Thank you.
Ito ang News TV Live. Pumanaw na ngayong umaga si dating Senador Miriam Santiago sa edad na 71. Ayon sa kanyang asawa na si Attorney Narciso Santiago Jr., pumanaw si Miriam habang natutulog sa kanyang kwarto sa St. Luke's Medical Center sa Global City sa Taguig. Taong 2014 nang ma-diagnose si Santiago na may stage 4 lung cancer. Sa kabila nito, tumakbo pa rin siya sa pagkapangulo nitong Mayo.
Because graft and corruption is endemic. And everybody speaks out, but nobody has done very much, except Mayor Rudy Duterte.
Give me you.
Morning, Madam. Your Honor. In international law, is there a distinction between international armed conflict on the one hand and non-international armed conflict on the other hand? Since you mentioned this in your statement.
Oh, yes, Your Honor.
I ask this question basically for the education of the public.
The difference between international armed conflict and non-international armed conflict. Well, under the Geneva Convention, under the Rome Statute, it really contemplates international conflict and also non-international conflict.
Ganito kasi yon. Meron tayong law of armed conflict pag naggera ang dalawang estado, dalawang states. Meron tayo law of non-international armed conflict pag naggera ang estado or ang state with a rebel group within its midst. At saka, gumawa tayo ng ganitong distinction para hindi mabigyan ng legality, hindi ma-legitimize ang mga terorista at ang mga rebelde. That is the answer.
Yes.
There is non-international armed conflict in this situation, and we must therefore remember that the terrorists are not entitled, in most cases, to the protections of the international instruments on the conduct of warfare, such as the Geneva Conventions and the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. Second question, what challenge is posed by the development and the application of humanitarian law to this non-international armed conflict? Bakit napakahirap i-apply ang ating international humanitarian law sa ating sariling bansa dito sa nangyari sa Pagpanaw?
Ang nakikita ko po dyan is that marami ho kasing nuances yung tungkol sa pag-apply ng international humanitarian law, because first we have to determine what exactly is the status, Your Honor, of MILF. And I think there's divergence of opinion there. But the MILF has already stated that they remain to be a revolutionary organization. And therefore, as a revolutionary organization, what do we call them? How do we consider them? Is it an insurgent force? Is it belligerent? Although I'm not prepared to concede to that there is a status of belligerency.
There was a distinction between an insurgent and a belligerent. A belligerent had more rights under international law than an insurgent, but wala na ngayon ang belligerent in international law vocabulary.
Under the traditional international law, there used to be a difference, but it has evolved into something else, into something that you don't make any distinction because of the human rights perspectives of all of this.
The challenge in this situation by humanitarian law is the following. The battle or the fight is asymmetrical. Hindi sila magkapantay. Kasi itong isa is a full state with all the requisites of a state. A population, a territory, and the capacity to deal with other nations on an equality basis. Whereas itong isa, pasundot-sundot lang siya para siyang guerrilla force. Kaya hindi mo naman pwede na ipantay ang pagtarato sa kanila dalawa. Otherwise, we will be giving a premium to terrorists, rebels, and other disgruntled members of any civil society. Finally, what is the distinction between a situation of armed conflict and a situation of law enforcement?
With respect to the situation of law enforcement, definitely all the laws, all our penal laws and other laws would apply. In situation of armed conflict, then that is the time that we can consider principles under a humanitarian law. And it so happened that those principles have in fact been indicated in our domestic law because of our version of the IHL, and I'm referring to RA 9851. And RA 9851 definitely delves on situations of non-international armed conflict and involving certain groups. And if I may add, Your Honor, as I reviewed Republic Act 9851, it seems to apply to particular situations where there is a protracted armed struggle, armed conflict between the state authorities and particular groups. And the application, in fact, is broader in the sense that it refers to non-state actors in general. And when we define non-state actors under international law and even domestic law, this covers a wide range of groups and characters. So not just terrorist organizations, not just insurgent groups, belligerent groups, or even criminal organizations. So the applicability of the 9851 really is something that needs to be scrutinized further. Because as I said, there are nuances. We have to settle first the issue, what exactly is the status of MILF? And therefore, can we apply categorically the provisions of 9851?
Let us recall that the Philippine Constitution provides that international law is part of the law of the land. It is as if it were the principles of international law operate in our country. It is as if the Congress passed that principle because it becomes, in effect, similar to the standing of a law within our country. Now the question is, does international law cover non-international armed conflicts? The answer is self.
Yes, so
the answer
it is.
Yes,
because of
our
the constitutional
international humanitarian law statute and human rights law. For example, it is important for the MILF and the BIFF to be informed of this fact because they seem to be oblivious of it. The Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court includes non-international armed conflict in the concept of war crimes. So I submit that what happened to the 44 Filipinos was a war crime committed by the MILF and the BIFF. And then, may I just go to this point? You said yesterday or 2 days ago that because the PNP is purely civilian in character, there's no such thing as a line of command because that is a military concept. Does that provision in the Constitution, and I have my Constitution here, I believe, defining the PNP as civilian in character, does that prevent the PNP from developing by analogy its own concepts like line of command? Is there a preventive effect on the language employed by the Constitution about the civilian character of the PNP? Does it prevent other terms from the military to be incorporated in the language of the PNP?
There is nothing in the Constitution or any law which prevents that, Your Honor.
Next, perhaps the last, Mrs. Chair, because I'm aware that you are about to treat me like we were in a cornfield.
No, Madam, they've given you much leeway. We know that your time is also limited being here. So we gave you more than 5 minutes, actually, ma'am.
I remind you, for those of you who have been talking to your character assassins, I've been awarded as a judicial judge for excellence in trial work, not only by the TOYM of the JCs, the TOWNS of the Lions, but many other NGOs.
She is Miriam Defensor Santiago, a multi-awarded former trial court judge, a legal luminary, and a judge of the International Criminal Court. But Santiago finally finds her match. Private Prosecutor Vitaliano Aguirre grabs the spotlight on day 26 of the impeachment trial of Chief Justice Renato Corona. It begins with another lecture of Professor Santiago to the prosecutors, this time for dropping 5 out of 8 articles of impeachment. But even for Filipinos used to the feisty senator, her words on Wednesday are shocking.
You are engaging, gentlemen, in a public discourse on the merits of your case. You're not supposed to say that at all. Ang yayabang ng mga nagsasalita na ganyan, ang gago naman.
Santiago gets away with a comment with the prosecution only asking that it be stricken off the record. But little does she know, one lawyer has had enough and reacts in full view of senators and viewers. Senators ask Aguirre to explain, but the lawyer of Hubert Webb stands up to the Dragon Lady.
Totoo po yun, sapagkat nasasaktan na yung tainga ko. But the fact, Your Honor, please, that this is the first time that I experience in my 40 years of practice na ang isang judge ay nagle-lecture sa mga abogado.
Santiago fumes, but Aguirre has a message for the lady senator from Iloilo.
I really did it purposely. Because totoo naman po na talagang shrill ang voice na nasasaktan ang tainga ko eh. Ang kuwang ko lamang po ay dapat po lamang na kahit ang mga senador, mga judges at kami mga hamak lamang prosecutor dito, ang pinaka-importante po sa isang tao ay respeto. Ang nagdedemand, kung nagdedemand ka ng respeto, dapat respetuhin mo doon itong mga abogadong ito.
Kung ayaw mo pakinggan, umalis ka sa korte.
Aalis na nga po sana ako eh, kaya lang...
Granted! If that is in the form of a motion, go ahead! Nangahamon ka!
Senators and prosecutors rush to diffuse the tension, and Aguirre is quickly escorted to the prosecution room. Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile keeps his cool, but agrees that Aguirre overstepped his bounds.
I cannot tolerate any disrespect of this court.
The Senate cites Aguirre in contempt, the first time the impeachment court uses its contempt powers. Senators will determine the penalty in a caucus on Tuesday.
It is very offensive and it is contemptuous and it is really a blatant example of what should never be done in a courtroom.
Parang nakaka-insulto.
Arrogante ba, sir?
Nakaka-insulto. And the way he answered, quite arrogant.
Prosecutors are sorry, but they say they understand Aguirre's sentiments.
Yung sinabi niya, yung mga nasabi niya, hindi namin yun na-anticipate. Pagpapalabas ng kanyang damdamin, kaya nga sabi ko, we are sorry for what happened. Pero hindi ko rin siya masisisi sa kanyang ginawa.
Santiago says she also understands what Aguirre did, but her theory is different.
Galit ka sa kanya, ma'am, personally?
No, I'm too old to take these things personally. I think it just has a mental disorder because, you know, a lawyer will never aggravate the judge.
Aguirre refuses to face the media, but for critics and supporters alike, what he said and did were more than enough.